No. Oh, no, here they are. They're back here. Okay, here we're good. We're good. Okay, I just want to make sure they gave us our passports and this booking paper. This is probably the most important printout I've ever printed out of all the printouts I've done at InfoWars. This booking paper has saved our butts many a time. Just by showing that we're staying up the hill, they allow us to continue.
Well,
that is the big...
let's just stop right there. They would love to stop you, but they know it'll make a major incident. But let's just stop right there and think about where we are in America and in the world. There's a globalist meeting of 150 people meeting. It's already in the British news that it's totalitarian, that it's illegal. It's in the German news saying it's very suspect. And they've got checkpoints miles and miles away from a private hotel checking everybody 3 days before it officially kicks off, or now 2.5 days. They've had these checkpoints for over a week and a half, the press reports, in Austria. This shows the totalitarianism that this group's trying to put out worldwide. And they're on record. They're the ones behind victim disarmament. They're the ones behind open borders. They're the ones behind carbon taxes. They're the ones behind it all. And I want you guys to now continue on to your hotel, continue driving on cell phone. I want to have you co-host with us here from Austria, Rob Dew and Josh Owens. But first, you got something else to add?
Well, I just want to say where they have the new checkpoint now, this is still a through road. This is not the only road going to the hotel. They have a spot that they could block off that is another 3 miles up the road here that wouldn't bother anybody. It wouldn't get in anybody's business. They wouldn't be searching people, and they would still have plenty of room to set up a security perimeter. It's not like...
But why do they even set it up for a private group that's not important, according to our media?
There you go. Yeah,
why don't they just have security at the hotel and at its front gate? It's about harassing everyone, so we can't even aim cameras at the building.
Yeah, we can't even get to the...
So the media can say it doesn't exist.
Exactly.
So they can play the public like a bunch of idiots.
We've gone to talk to 2 different police groups, the one downtown, that are very rude to us, and then the ones up here, who I guess just rifled through our stuff. Josh, what did they actually look through? They opened up the trunk and everything, right? They opened up the trunk. They pulled up the lining of the car and looked underneath the lining of the car. So we're very dangerous at this point. This is the most full body cavity search we've ever had to undergo. There's a place in the back for a tire, and they ripped up the lining under. Yeah.
All right, guys, we have Paul Watson on the line with an update on what's happening and unfolding. Then we're going to give you some breaking news on Cobra and get a big article out on it. Bilderberg claimed it was private security. No, it's German secret police or Austrian secret police involved in mind control. This is mainstream news in a castle, predating G.I. Joe villain Cobra. So this is probably who Cobra is named after. We thought it was a joke. They were called Cobra. Again, truth is stranger than fiction. Usually, it turns out stuff in fiction is from reality. Let's get Paul Watson's take, who's still in the UK, in London. He'll be traveling tomorrow into Austria. Watson, what do you make of this?
Well, I mean, the claim that it's illegal to film police in Austria, from what I've read, is complete BS. I mean, there've been some pretty high-profile cases involving asylum seekers and illegal aliens where it was legal to film police. So there's no law against it. There's something where they can claim copyright against their image later on, but it's not an actual crime to film the police in Austria.
So. They can only claim the copyright if you're selling something off their image, like branding it with them. Under news gathering, I looked it up too before you guys went. They can say nothing.
No, so there's going to be dozens more people filming them there in a couple of days anyway. And that's, last year in Denmark, it was completely different, of course. And that hotel was almost in the city centre. It was literally, like a mile away from the city centre. The police met with us before we could set up right outside the hotel, literally yards from the hotel as all the cars were driving in. Completely different.
The police arrested provocateurs that were harassing us. They were pretty nice.
Yeah, the provocateurs were worse than the police. But in Switzerland, it was a similar geography. The hotel was halfway up a mountain. But still, we could literally stand 100 yards away from the hotel and look directly at it. There was a huge staging area there. So the fact that they've
we could show the black helicopters landing and taking off, everything.
Yeah.
In fact, roll some of the black helicopters, guys. Go ahead.
So the fact that they've set up these checkpoints 6 miles away is bizarre because, you know, maybe it's due to the fact that they weren't happy with us last year because literally they were sat out on the patio having lunch in Copenhagen and there was just a chain link fence separating.
What about when they open the windows up and like 8 guys are basically fondling each other in bathrobes?
Yeah, they were doing that in the hotel window. It was all very public. And even though we were literally, you know, less than a stone's throw away from Bilderberg members, there were about 4 cops in the whole area. So in comparison to this, where they've got, you know, 2,000 police surrounding this compound, it's completely ridiculous because there are only...
Oh my God, I just thought of something. Google the leader of Cobra Security Austria. That's Cobra Commander. I bet he's even wearing a mask. I'm sorry, Paul. Go ahead.
Well, it's just total overkill. Cobra was created as a reaction to the terrorist attack on the Munich Olympics. So they're treating, you know, a few
Which, by the way, was staged by the Germans, even at the end of the one day in September, or whatever the name. It won an Academy Award. It's got Michael Douglas narrates it. At the end, they admit that they actually staged the hijacking of the plane to release the terrorist because they'd actually worked for the government the whole time. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so it's complete overkill. I mean, there weren't even that many protesters in Copenhagen. It was in the middle of the city. So there's probably going to be, a few dozen bloggers and, quote, protesters who can't even get anywhere near the place when it kicks off. So a complete overkill. 5.6 million euros, including the G7, for this joint operation, taxpayer funded. That can't be justified. Completely ridiculous. But again, Bilderberg claims that it's a charity, and in fact, the UK gave it charity status, even though it's a bunch of private individuals.
Let me ask you this, Paul, and we're going to go to break, come back with everybody here, Joe Biggs, yourself, Paul Watson, and the crew there on the ground. I want to ask you what you're going to be trying to focus on when you get there, what you expect to happen. And I also want to ask you, why do you think England had 3,000 plus people at once demonstrating against it, but the U.S. or anywhere else you can't get that? I mean, that says something about the U.K. folks, that they're more awake, I think.
Oh, yeah, I mean, that's it. You know, I mean, you get, a few hundred when it's in Chantilly, but nowhere near like it was in Watford.
I want to ask you that question when we come back. Stay there. We'll talk about Cobra Commander.
The Empire's on the run.
Cobra. We've got Rammstein from Deutschland bringing us in today because we're now in Austria, the imperial capital of what was connected to Germany, and where our little baby Hitler came from. And we've got our reporters there who have had the police put their hands on their guns, act very hateful, bug their eyes out at them, come to their hotel. Now they're not acting as rude because we're going and getting in their faces. And we're not being mean. We're just, hey, we're here. We're just journalists. Are you a free country? We come in peace. In fact, from now on, just say, we come in peace from America. And seriously, we come in peace. And we're just here to cover the criminal group meeting that wants to destroy our sovereignty. This is just self-defense. You can look up who we are. We're not criminals. We work with Alex Jones, InfoWars. They already have all that. Walk in. You are Abdul? Out. No filming. But Joe Biggs wants to get into some of the military angle before I go back to Paul and you guys, dealing with this Cobra group, who the media earlier said, oh, private security. They're not private. It's the Ministry of the Interior, and it's made out of the anti-terror unit from the Munich Games back in the 70s, in 1978. Well, if you watch One Day of September that won an Academy Award, they admit at the end of the movie that it was a false flag and that they staged a hijacking to release the supposed bombers. I mean, this is the group that ran false flag of the attack on the Munich Olympics. There is no end to this. They're certainly connected. Then you pull up a mainstream newspaper article, give folks the headline, Joe Biggs, that says it's connected to mind control in a castle that in the countryside outside Vienna at their command base.
Yeah, this is from January 30th of 1972. Schönau Castle is a mystery to Viennese. Like I said, it is this giant 6-room castle on a 70-acre wooded park with 15-foot high walls, and that people said that this was a center for spies and brainwashing.
And that's the Boca Raton News.
So
this thing is news in Florida.
Yeah. And then you've got the Cobra Commander Group that are...
We're still trying to find out who the commander of it is. The leader of the Ministry of the Interior is a woman. Maybe that's why he wears a mask.
She's on screen.
There's Cobra Commander. Actually, she's actually not the commander of the units, but she's the overall commander. That's why Cobra Commander usually wears a mask, because she knows that people don't really want to follow a woman in combat. That's why he speaks in that voice like that, because it's really a woman. There you go. There's Cobra Commander. Sorry.
So yeah, these guys are much like our FBI. And what has our FBI done before? Staged events, plant evidence to arrest people. And that's one of my biggest fears for some of these guys. You know, the reporters over there right now, when they leave their hotel rooms, I would encourage you guys, when you go back every time, to search that place to make sure nothing's being planted, because of the reason they're being so hostile towards you and stopping you nonstop and, you know, and just being rude. I would make sure that you would be checking those rooms every time you go back, so they don't plan something, so they can come in and all of a sudden say, oh, we need to come in and perform a search, and then they've got something there that they can kind of get you with.
I think that's a great point. We're going back to Paul Watson in a moment. But let's get a comment from Rob Dew and Josh Owens.
Well, I'm actually checking every orifice in the kitchen right now to make sure there's nothing hidden. Because, yeah, I am taking that advice to heart.
You need to check Henry Kissinger's orifice for the Constitution. That may be where it's hidden.
I think when they come up upon me next time, I'll try this. Oh, wait, put your weapon. I mean you no harm. I think I'll try
I found a bunch of
Yoda.
I love it.
Speak on them.
You can put your hands up.
And maybe that'll like lighten the mood, because these guys are so serious. Like, I'm wearing a blazer. You know, I'm wearing a blazer. I have a ball cap on. I'm wearing glasses. You know, I'm not carrying any weapons. You know, I have a camera. I have several cameras, and that's it. That's all we're armed with is the truth, and that's all we can do. And it's just amazing, you know, having that little confrontation with the cop yesterday, who was trying to justify what they were doing and saying, we do this for you if you have a party and there's a break-in. No, you don't set up a 5-mile checkpoint in front of my party and have 2,000 cops running around my property if I'm having a party.
For an organization the New York Times and Rush Limbaugh says doesn't exist.
That sounds like a McKinney pool party.
Exactly.
Can I hear from Yoda one more time about, because I interrupted Yoda earlier.
Oh, wait, put your weapon. I mean you no harm.
That's really good.
Nothing to see here at all. Zebedoo.
Hello, Mr. Penguin.
Hello, Mr. Penguin.
Oh, my goodness. Well, the thing is, they're working for the terrorist. Everyone knows it. They have to act like we're bad. And
it's amazing how
that's why they SWAT team Amish people in 2-year investigations over them selling a neighbor cheese, because it's not illegal, but they have to show the jury, look, we SWAT teamed them. Like it's all theater. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, it's amazing how they say they're going to be a private security group. Meanwhile, right here, it says Austrian Federal Police.
And what magazine is that out of?
This was from a magazine. Let me see. This one, it's called Cobra Austria Special Police Commandos. Law and Order.
So it's a law enforcement magazine. Here.
Lawandordermag.com.
Let's look at it. And they don't even have real photos of themselves. It's like artist renderings of them doing heroic deeds. And again, folks, it's not just us covering Bilderberg. This is how the media operates. It's how the police operate. These are microcosms of the larger world. Sorry, go ahead, Yoda.
I was just saying, they pride themselves on their mountaineering skills, the Cobra guys. They always compete in these mountaineering competitions, and they always place in the top 2 or 3. These are the elite of these special forces. And it just makes me wonder why they need to be here for, like you said, an event that doesn't exist.
And I was
there's at least 24 of them here.
Yeah, I was looking at the map too, and there's an area where it forks and goes to a single road that goes up into the hotel. They could easily just block off that one area, that entrance, and then allow traffic to move freely throughout that area. Meanwhile, you're 6 miles back in a complete and total police state going through God knows how many checkpoints today. I mean, how many checkpoints have you had to go through today?
This will only draw more attention on it.
I mean, that's what's going to happen here.
2. Right. And everybody I talk, well, not everybody I talk to, probably 4 out of the 5 people that I talked to down there in the town, we talked to about 20 people, but probably 4 or 5 of them